Good morning students, welcome back again. We were discussing chapter number 4 of English, right? The name of the chapter is Rat Trap, written by Selma Lagerlof, right? We all know what the story is. The story is about a peddler who roams here and there for his own survival, right? That is what we have seen in this story. And once he goes to a different direction, right, and finds a woman who changes its life by kindness and generosity. This is what we have seen in the first part of chapter number 4, right? Before we begin with the second part, again I'll tell you a short summary of this chapter. So those students who have not watched the video, so you can understand what is the chapter all about. This story is about an old disheartened peddler who is taken in and shown generosity by a young woman. Her generosity and kindness changes his bitter attitude towards life. Right? The life of the peddler was quite bitter. He never used to see anything from the positive point of view. But in his life, he meets a woman who changes its life through kindness. Through kindness. Right? The peddler is a man who has fallen upon misfortune. The luck that never favored, right, the peddler. He was always a misfortuned person in his life, right? He never actually got what he wanted, right? So it was all about misfortune, and now resorts himself, that is, now he manages himself by selling rat traps and even by theft. Even when he got the chances, right, he stolen the things from whatever place that he got. Right, that was the life of the peddler. Right, this is a summary of chapter number 4. I hope the concept of this chapter is clear. Right, half of the portion that we have done in the part 1 of the video, today we are going to discuss part number 2. Right, those students who have not watched part 1, again I repeat, watch the video of part 1. So it would be interesting for this, to learn this chapter. Right, so again, take out your textbook. That is on page number 35, right? I am repeating the second paragraph again. The Ramzo Iron Works, which are now closed down, were not so long ago a large plant with smelter, rolling mill and forge. In the summertime, long lines of heavily loaded barges and scores slid down the canal, which led a large inland lake, and in the winter time, the roads near the mill were black from all the coal dust which sifted down from the big charcoal cracks. Right, we did over here. What happens in the life of the peddler, that he roams here and there, and one night he goes for his survival. He finds an old man. He spends the night in the house of an old man just to have the food. He sleeps there at that particular house of the old man. He finds that there is 30 rupees, 30 kronos in his house. And when the old man goes outside, to deliver the milk of his cow, right, he comes back again, steals the money and goes from that place, and he runs on the highway. And when he runs on the highway, he feels that he is not safe over there. So he takes the other side. He goes through the forest. And what happens in the forest? He gets lost. He gets lost. And when he gets lost, he gets actually exhausted. And he thinks that the whole world is a rat trap. The whole world is a rat trap. I cheated someone. Now it's my time that someone will cheat me. That is what goes around, comes around. That is what he thinks in the jungle, right, in the middle of the jungle. And finally, he sleeps over there as he is too tired. And when he sleeps in the particular forest, right, he hears the thumping sound of the iron mill. And he moves towards the iron mill. Right, this is what we have seen in part number 1. Right, moving towards part number 2. During one of his long dark evenings, just before Christmas, the master smith, who was the master over there? Smith. And his helper sat in the dark forge near the furnace waiting for the pig iron. Right, that means the iron process was going on in that particular mill, right, which had been put in the fire to be ready to put on the anvil. Every now and then one of them got up to steer the glowing mask with the iron bar, returning in few moments, dripping with perspiration through as was the custom. He wore nothing but a long shirt and a pair of wooden shoes. That is what he sees. When he goes to the iron mill, he goes close to the iron mill, he finds two people over there. One is Smith, one is smith. The iron process was going on in that mill. Every now and then, every few minutes, one person used to go inside and check. Again, he used to come back. Again, the other person used to go inside that iron mill and check the process whether it was going on properly or not. Right? It was very heat inside the iron mill. Right? And this is the process that is actually being done in the iron mill. And the process through which they are, allowed to wear the kind of clothes, that was a long shirt and a wooden shoes. That was the dressing sense given to those people who were working in the iron mill. That is what he saw when he went towards the iron mill. Right? Who went towards the iron mill? The peddler. He sees each and everything that is happening in the iron mill. Right? All the time there were many sounds to be heard in the forge. There were different kind of sounds that were being heard in that forge, that means in that place. The big bellows groaned and the burning coal cracked. That kind of sounds that were being heard. The fire boy shoveled charcoal into the man of the furnace with a great deal of clatter. Right? Outside roared the waterfall. Right? One side there was raining, so there was again a sound of waterfall, that is water was flowing from there. Again there was a sound of iron mill, big thumping sounds were being heard. So each and every sound were very clear. Right? As it was jungle, it was quiet, it was deep, it was dark. Right? Each and every sound was audible to that peddler, as he was very close to the iron mill. And a sharp north wind whipped the rain against the brick-tailed roof. Right? The raindrops that is falling on the roof of that iron mill were being heard very clearly. It was probably on an account of all this noise that the blacksmith did not notice that a man had opened the gate and entered the forge until he stood close up to the furnace. Right? It was heavily raining in the forest, different types of sounds were being heard. So actually the people who were working in that iron mill didn't hear the sound of the door. Right? As the peddler quietly entered into the door, right? He came inside, he entered inside. No one knows, working in that iron mill, no employees knows that there is one man who has entered inside the particular iron mill until he reached the furnace. That means the heat place where the iron is heated. Right? And it was raining heavily, it was quite cold outside. So he went towards the furnace to get some warmth. Right? And at that point of time, the people working in the iron mill actually noticed the peddler. Surely it was nothing unusual for poor vagabonds without any better shelter for the night to be attracted to the forge by the glow of light which escaped through the sooty pans and to come in to warm themselves in front of the fire. The blacksmith glanced only casually and indifferently at the intruder. He looked the way people of his type usually did, with a long beard, dirty ragged, and with a bunch of rat traps dangling on his chest. Right? What happens? The blacksmith now is looking at the peddler. Indifferently at the intruder. Intruder means some stranger. Right? When an unknown person enters into your house, obviously you are going to look from the head till the toe, right? What he is wearing, what is his dressing sense, what does his face look like, each and everything. The blacksmith was looking at him, right? He looked the way people of his type usually did, right? He was looking same as the blacksmith, right? Long beard, dirty ragged, with a bunch of rat traps dangling on his chest. That was the physical appearance of that particular peddler, right? There were two rat traps on his chest. There was one kind of thread that was being given and that was being put over here, and there were two rat traps on his shoulders, right? That was the physical appearance of that peddler. He asked permission to stay, and the master blacksmith nodded a haughty consent without honoring him with a single word, right? He requested him to stay to inside that particular iron mill, and that blacksmith didn't say yes or no. He just looked at him and went on to continue his work, right? He didn't say yes, he didn't say no, right? He requested. Who requested? The peddler, to stay inside the iron mill, but the blacksmith didn't allow. He didn't say any word, right? But he just looked at him, and he began his process of working in the iron mill, right? He didn't say anything. The tramp did not say anything either. He had not come there to talk, but only to warm himself and sleep. right? Even the peddler didn't come there long way just to talk with those guys. He was lost in the jungle. It was quite raining outside in the forest. It was very wet. The wind was very cold. So neither the peddler wanted to talk to that particular strangers. He just wanted to stay in the iron mill, get certain kind of heat from the furnaces, and as it is early morning, he wanted to go back on his way again. That was the plan of the peddler. But what was the thing, the clothes that he was wearing were completely wet and transferable, right? So that 30 rupees in his pocket, right, that were easily seen from the other side as the clothes were wet, right? And a kind of a person who sells a rat trap, right, whose physical appearance is not good and who has 30 rupees or 30 kronos in his pocket, obviously, it is quite doubtable. It is quite doubtable, right? That was the thing. So that is why the peddler kept silent. He just wanted to stay there for a certain point of time, get some heat, and in the morning again go back on his way. That was the plan. In those days, the Ramso iron mill was owned by a very prominent iron master. In those days, that iron mill was owned by a very prominent means very strong iron master, whose greatest ambition was to ship out good iron to the market, whose ambition was to put so good quality of iron in the market that his name would be considered as a monopoly. Whose name? The name of that iron mill, that is Ramso iron mill. He wanted to put the best quality of iron mill in the market so that it would create a monopoly, that if you want to buy an iron, there is only one mill that is giving the best quality of iron mill, that is Ramso iron mill. That was the objective of the owner, right? He watched both night and day to see that the work was done as well as possible, and that very moment he came into the forge one of his nightly rounds of his inspection, right? He constantly came to 2 times, day and night, to visit the iron mill at any point of time, as he was the owner, right? He used to come once in a day and used to come once at night to see whether the work has been going on as per the instructions. And what happens when the peddler was there? He suddenly comes at night. Who comes at night? The owner, to check, to inspect. That is a kind of inspection, whether the work is properly been done or not. And who was there at that point of time? Peddler, right? Naturally, the first thing he saw was the tall ragamuffin who had eased his way so close to the furnace that steam rose from his wet rags. Rags means the trousers, the bottom part, right? We never say pants, right? It is not a pant, it is known as trousers, right? He was very close to the furnace, right? That the steam rose from his wet rags, that a kind of a steam, right, that was coming from his wet rags, that is from the trousers that was coming, right? He was very close to the furnace, and when the owner visits the iron mill, he sees the steam coming, passing through his rags, that means passing through the bottom of his legs. The iron master did not follow the example of the blacksmith, who had hardly denied to look at the stranger. Right? He walked close up to him, looked him over very carefully, then tore off his slouch hat to get a better view of his face. He went closely to that peddler to see what happened when that peddler went to the particular iron mill closer to the furnace. The people working there as an employee in that iron mill avoided him. They didn't talk to him, right? They continued to do their work. But when the owner came, he was quite interested in who that boy is, who that guy is. So he went closer and removed his hat so that he can have a better look, a better view, who is actually that person. But of course, it is you, Nils Olive, right? Who says this? The iron master. Who says this? The iron master. Iron master is actually mistaken over here. It is actually the peddler. Who is on the other side? The peddler. But what does the iron master think? That it is Nils Olof. It is Nils Olof. Who is Nils Olof? We'll look into the textbook again. He said, "How do you look?" The man with the rat traps had never before seen the iron master at Ramso and did not even know what his name was. And on the other side, the peddler was shocked. "Who is Nils Olof? I don't know you." right? I have never seen you and meeting you first time in my life. But the iron master, that means the owner of that mill, was very strong that that peddler was actually Niels Olof. Right? He was mistaken over here. Who? The owner. He considered him Niels Olof instead of as a stranger. Who is Niels Olof? We'll look into the next paragraphs. But it occurred to him that if the fine gentleman thought he was an old acquaintance means the employees who are working in that iron mill have got retired and now they are living their life peacefully. Right? And one of the old acquaintance was Niels Olof. That means he was an old employee of that firm, of that iron mill. And that is where he is mistaken. That is where he is mistaken. Who is mistaken over here? The iron master. He considers that stranger as an old employee of his firm. Right? This is where he is mistaken. He considers him Niels Olof. Who is Niels Olof? An old employee who is now retired, who came back again to that iron mill. That is what the owner is thinking right now. That this stranger is Niels Olof, an old employee of this firm. But it occurred to him that if the fine gentleman thought he was an old acquaintance, he might perhaps throw him to a couple of kroner. Therefore, he did not want to undeceive him all at once. Yes, God knows things have gone downhill with me, he said. You should not have resigned from the regiment. You know that. This is what the owner talks to that, misguided guy. Right? He is actually misguided over here. He thinks that that person is Niels Olof. And he directly talks to him. He doesn't even allow that stranger to talk to him. He directly said that, oh, why did you get retired? You know that when you got retired, now my iron mill is not getting that amount of profit, and the quality that you used to maintain while making irons is not being now maintained. So I have to come here, check it each and everything twice, right? It was good time when you were there. So he just starts talking to that stranger, considering that he is an old employee. Considering that he is an old employee. That's what's the mistake. That is what the mistake was. Who did that mistake? The owner of the iron mill. If only I had still been in the service at that time, it would never have happened. Well, now of course you will come home with me. Now you will come home with me. He still has that image in his mind that that is an old employee of his organization. And he says that now it's very good that you came back to this iron mill, right? I want you, before joining the iron mill, right, you should come home with me. This is the story. This is where all the things go wrong. All the things go wrong, right? As the peddler was quite confused, he stolen 30 rupees, he went to the highway, again from the highway he went to the jungle, and after going into the jungle, right, he meets an iron master, that is the owner of the iron mill, and now he has been mistaken as Niels Olof, and now that iron master, that is the owner of that mill, is telling him to come home with him. This is where he is roaming from here and there with no specific objective, without any guidelines, without any kind of particular perfect map. He is going from here to there, right? And he is getting into more and more trouble, right? To go along up to the manor house and be received by this owner like an old regimental comrade, that's however did not please the tramp. Tramp means that unknown person. Tramp means an unknown person, right? You are not even asking to that person who actually he is. You are not allowing him to talk, and you are just telling him directly that you need to come to my home. That is something very strange, right? As a stranger, right, everyone will be, frightened. Who is this guy who is taking home with, who is taking home to me? Right? I don't know him. He is inviting me to his home. Who is this guy? As a stranger, you and me would think in the same condition as the peddler was thinking. But in the eyes of the owner, he was Niels Olof. He was Niels Olof, right? Who was Niels Olof? An old employee of the organization. So he told him that you need to come to my home. But that did not please that particular peddler. That did not please him. He considered that if I go to his home, what will happen? He'll steal my money that I have in my pocket. That is what he was thinking, because he himself has stolen money from an old man's house. Right? So he was thinking the same concept, that if I'll go to his house, as it is a jungle, I cannot do anything. I do not have any kind of weapons, right? I don't have any way to go. He is inviting me to his home, and when he invites me over there, he'll take whatever I have. I have 30 rupees in my pocket and he is going to take it. So that did not please the peddler. And on the other side, the owner was thinking that he was his old employee, so he need to come to his home. This is where the confusion arises, right? Next, that is on page number 37. Now I couldn't think of it, he said, looking quite alarmed. That means he was quite attentive right now. He was very, looking at what the words that particular iron owner was using. He thought of the 30 kroner. See, he is thinking of his 30 rupees. To go up to the manor house would be like throwing himself voluntarily into the lion's den. Going into his house, that is just like as you are putting yourself into a cage where there is a lion. Obviously, when you enter into a cage where there is a lion, that lion is obviously going to eat you. They is obviously going to kill you. Right? He was thinking of that 30 kronos. That if I go, this guy, when he allows me to enter his house, he is going to take that 30 rupees. Right? Throwing himself into the lion's den. That is what he was thinking. He only wanted a chance to sleep here in the forge and then sneak away as inconspicuously as possible. The ironmaster assumed that he felt embarrassed because of his miserable clothing. See, there is quite a confusion over here. What was the only objective of that peddler? To pass the night over there in the iron mill. As he was completely wet because it was raining outside, he wanted to dry himself, he wanted a warm place, so he went to the furnace, and as in the early morning, he wanted to run away from there. But what was the owner thinking? That this guy, not the peddler, right? This guy, that means the mistaken guy, that is Niels Olof. He is still considering the peddler as Niels Olof, that he is not coming to my home because of his dressing sense. Because of his dressing sense. He is wearing such an weird clothes, and that is why he is feeling embarrassed to come to my home. This is where a miscommunication takes place, a misunderstanding takes place between the peddler and the owner of that mill. Please don't think that I have such a fine home that you cannot show yourself there. This is what the owner says. My house is not that much big, right? And don't feel embarrassed. My house is not that big, not that quite, that you feel embarrassed by yourself, that you should not allow to come as it is the owner of the house. My house is a very simple house. You can relax and enjoy over there. Right? That is what the owner thinks. As his dressing sense is very poor, he is feeling shamed. He is feeling ashamed. Right? He is feeling embarrassed that he should not enter to his house. So that is what the owner says, that please don't think that I have such a fine home, right? Make yourself comfortable that you can not show yourself there, right? You can show yourself there. That is what he is trying to say. My house is not that much big. It is a simple house. You can come and relax over there. He said, that means the owner said, Elizabeth is dead. As you may already have heard, he has never heard of anything. Actually, he is a peddler. He is a peddler. Elizabeth is dead, as you may have already heard. My boys are abroad and there is no one at home except my oldest daughter. Elizabeth is the name of his wife. She is dead and there is no one at home except my oldest daughter. There is only one daughter who is in the house, and myself. We were just saying that it was too bad we didn't have any company for Christmas. It was the Christmas time. The father and daughter both were alone in the house, right? There was no one to accompany them, no one to enjoy the festival. Imagine it is a festival, right? Main festival, right? And there is no one there to celebrate with you. You are totally alone in the house. Would you feel good? Obviously no, right? So the same thought was revolving in the minds of that owner, right? As it is a Christmas Eve, that there is no one in my house through which I can share my joy, through which we can celebrate the festival of Christmas. There were only two persons living in that house, that is the father and his oldest daughter. Everyone was dead and his sons were abroad. That means they were working, they were studying in some other places. So it was very boring for both of them to enjoy the festival alone. That is why actually the iron owner is allowing that peddler, that means he is considering that Niels Olof, to enter into his house. Right? What happens next? Now come along with me and help us make the Christmas food disappear a little faster. Come to my home, there is a lot of Christmas food over there, and help me to disappear that food little faster. That means you can eat whatever you want, how much you want. Disappear the food as much as you can. We will never say no. Right? There is a lot of Christmas things, Christmas different foods and varieties of cakes and all the things have been made. Whatever you want, you can come to my home and eat. Disappear the food as quick as faster, as a little faster. But the stranger said no. But the stranger said no. And no again and no. And the ironmaster saw that he must give in. And the ironmaster thought that this person is not going to come to my house. It looks as though Captain von Stahel preferred to stay with you tonight. Strom, he said to the master blacksmith, and turned on his heel. Right? He said to the blacksmith, that is to the master of that iron mill who was working in that employ, as an employee in that mill, it seems that this guy wants to stay with you. Which guy? The peddler actually, whom he considers Niels Olof. That Niels Olof wants to stay with you. He is not interested to is not interested to come to my home. That is what the owner said to the smith who was working as an employee in that mill. That it seems that there is a kind of constant rejection from Niels Olof. Who was Niels Olof? Actually, he was a peddler. And the owner says that I think that Niels Olof does not want to come to my house. He wants to stay here with you in the iron mill. And he gives up. Who gives up? The owner. And he went back to his home. But he laughed to himself as he went away, and the blacksmith who knew him understood very well that he had not said his last word. Still the blacksmith, that means the employee who is working in that particular mill, did not say a word again. He looked everything, he laughed at both of them, right? And he stood there, he did not say a single word and carried on with his work. Look at the employees, they are very smart. They actually knew that it is not Niels Olof. He is a stranger, but the owner of the mill is mistaken. Right? Still they are not saying anything to the owner. Still they are not saying anything to the owner. They stands there, laugh at them, and continuously starts to do their own work. Right? They still keep quiet. It was not more than half an hour or before they heard the sound of carriage wheels outside the forge, and a new guest came in. After a certain point of time, right, there was a new guest in the iron mill who came in. But this time it was not the ironmaster. After a few minutes, there was a new person who entered into the mill again to talk to that actual peddler, who was not a peddler, who was mistaken as Niels Olof. Who is entering now? Look into the textbook. He said he had sent his daughter. He has sent his daughter, apparently hoping that she would have better powers of persuasion than he himself. Obviously, you know that the girl power, right? When a woman talks to a man, right, the man constantly, they are attracted towards the opposite gender. And the owner thought that if I'll send my daughter, that guy, who is that guy? Niels Olof. Actually, he is not Niels Olof, he is the peddler, right? That when my daughter talks to him, that guy would be coming to my home. Niels Olof would be coming to my home. That is why he sent his daughter, to invite Niels Olof, that is peddler, Niels Olof, to come to his house. she would have better powers of persuasion, better power, better communication power. She can talk politely and nicely to that boy, to that guy, right? And she'll take him to his house. And that is what the plan is of the owner of the ironmaster. She entered, followed by a valet carrying on his arm and a big fur coat. She was not at all pretty. The older daughter of that iron mill was not at all pretty. She was not good looking, but seemed modest and quite shy. In the forge, everything was just as it has been earlier in that evening. The master blacksmith and his apprentice still sat on that bench, and the iron and the charcoal still glowed in the furnace. Everything was normal, everything was as its way it is. The blacksmith and the other employee were sitting on their bench, and the iron charcoal still glowed in the furnace. Right? That means the process was going on as it is. The iron master left. Now it was the turn of his daughter, who came back again, and everything was working as it is. The stranger had stretched himself out on the floor and lay with a piece of pig iron under his head, and his hat pulled down over his eyes. As soon as the young girl caught the sight of him, she went up and lifted his hat. The young man was evidently used to sleeping with one eye open. He jumped up abruptly and seemed to be quite frightened. What happens? The daughter enters into the iron mill, and he sees that the man, who is the man? Neil Saloff. Actually, he is not Neil Saloff. I am repeating it again. Please keep a note. He is not Neil Saloff. He is actually the peddler. He slept on that floor in that particular iron mill with a hat on his face, right? And when the daughter came in, she removed the hat from his face, and that guy was sleeping with one eye open. With one eye open, and suddenly she saw that there was one girl standing on the other side, and he was very frightened. He was very frightened, right? Now the girl introduces himself. See, "My name is Elda Williamson," said the young girl. "My father came home and said that you wanted to sleep here in the forge tonight, and then I asked permission to come and bring you home to us. I am so sorry, Captain, that you are having such a hard time." Right? Again, the daughter has been told by his father that he is an old employee, that is Neil Saloff. Captain doesn't mean the head. Captain means giving respect to an old person. Giving respect to an old person, right? That is what it is. So she talks to that particular peddler, whom she again misconsidered him as a Neil Saloff, and says that I am very sorry that you are having a hard time over here. Please come home. Please come home. You are not allowed to sit here in this iron mill. There is a home over there. You can come, relax and enjoy over there, as it is in festival of Christmas. You can come to the home. That was the order given by his father, that please bring that Neil Saloff to the home. Right? So she is talking in the same manner as his father talked. She looked at him compassionately with her heavy eyes, and then she noticed that the man was afraid. Either he had stolen something, or else he has escaped from jail. She thought and added quickly, "You may be sure, Captain, that you will be allowed to leave us just as freely as you came. Only please stay with us over the Christmas Eve." At that point of time, she was thinking that either this guy has stolen something, or either he has, broken the jail. That is what the first thought of that young girl was in the mind. When he saw that guy, that means when he saw that peddler, that was the thought that she was, revolving in his mind. But still, as his father said, that she was not a stranger, that means he was not a stranger, he was Neil Saloff. So she says that, "You may be sure, Captain, that you will be allowed to leave us as freely as you came." That means whatever point of time you want to come, you can come and enjoy with us. You can have the food with us, and whenever you want, after having the food, you can go back again. We won't force you to stay in our house. That were the words of the daughter. That were the words of the daughter. But inside her head, there was one thought, that either this guy had stolen something, or he has broken the jail. These two thoughts were revolving in the mind of that daughter. In the mind of that daughter, right? So again she requests, look at the last line, only please stay with us on the Christmas Eve. Please stay with us on the Christmas Eve. She said that in such a friendly manner, right, that the rat trap peddler must have felt confidence in her. She talked with him on a very friendly note. You know how we talk with our friends, right? With all the confidence we have. We talk in a very normal sense. So that what, changed the mind of the peddler. Changed the mind of the peddler, and he accepted the invitation. It would never have occurred to me that you would bother with me yourself, miss, he said. I'll come at once. He said, I will come at once. He accepted the fur coat which the valet handed him with a deep bow, threw it over his racks, that means on his shoulders, and followed the young lady out of the carriage, without granting the astonished blacksmith so much at glance, right? He silently and quietly came out of that particular furnace, of that particular iron mill, without noticing the blacksmiths, without noticing that people or the employees working in that iron mill. He did not even turn back and look back to the employees. He accepted the invitation and they both started walking. Right? But while he was riding up to the manor house, he had evil forebodings. Right? While they were walking on their way, that guy had negative thoughts in his mind. What if I'll go home and they'll rob me? What if I'll go home and they'll kill me? What if I'll go home and they'll take whatever I have? What can I do? I have accepted the invitation. I'm going on the way, right? We are very close to the home, but still the negative thoughts were going into the minds of the peddler, right? As he had stolen 30 rupees. It was all about that 30 rupees, right? He already seen in part 1 the life of the peddler, right? He was running here and there, he was roaming here and there for his own survival. And suddenly he gets 30 rupees, so they were very precious to him. So he just wanted to keep that 30 rupees with him, and that is all about that story. That is the main, bottom line of the story, that he never wanted that 30 rupees to be stolen from his own pocket. And that is why he was refusing to go. But as the old lady, that means the daughter, came and convinced him in a friendly note, he accepted the invitation, but on the way, still the negative thoughts were going in his mind. While the devil did I take the fellow's money, he thought, now I am sitting in the trap and will never get out of it. Right? Now he thought that as I have accepted the invitation, I have fallen into the rat trap. He said previously in the first particular video we have seen, right, that the whole world is a rat trap. And now again he has fallen into the rat trap again. And he'll never get out of it. The next day was Christmas Eve, right? That means it was 25th December. Christmas is celebrated on 25th December. And when the ironmaster came into the dining room for the breakfast, now the owner is coming for the breakfast, right? In his dining room. He probably thought with satisfaction of his old regimental comrade whom he had run across so unexpectedly, right? First of all, we must see to it that he gets a little flesh of his bones. He said to his daughter, who was busy at the table, and then we must see that he gets something else to do than to run around the country selling rat traps. Now the ironmaster is thinking that as this person is quite old, his physical appearance is not that good, we must give him some quality food so that he will get certain kind of strength. He was totally very skinny. The bones were coming out of the skin. That kind of slim he was. So the ironmaster thinks that we should give him such kind of food that his bones disappear. He will be quite healthy. And we would be giving him get something else to do than to run around country selling rat traps. We would be giving him certain good job in the same iron mill again, so that he doesn't have to sell the rat traps again. Still it is mistaken. See, the ironmaster, that is the owner of the mill, is still mistaking him that he is actually Neil Saloff, an old employee of his particular iron mill. And he has decided in his mind that I'm going to give the job to this person again, right, so that he does not have to sell his rat trap. This is what the owner is thinking while having food on the dining table, right? Next, page number 39. It is queer that things have gone downhill with him as badly as that, said the daughter. Daughter also accepted that the guy, that is actually the Neil Saloff, who is mistaken, right, as in peddler, that it is a very bad and critical situation for him right now. He is in a very bad situation. Last night I did not think there was anything about him to show that he had once been an educated man. Who was Neil Saloff? An educated man. And when you look at an educated man in such a critical and a poor situation, you feel very sorry for him. A guy who has knowledge, a guy who has skills, a person who has lot of experience, still does not even manage or cannot manage himself, that is something very poor. That is something very poor. Imagine yourself, you have good degree, you have good knowledge, right? You have lot of experience, but still you cannot stand on your own legs. You need to run here and there for your survival at the end. Is it a good life? No. The same condition was of that Neil Saloff, who was actually a peddler. And the daughter also agrees that the condition of this guy is very critical, very poor. We need to do something for this boy. We need to do something for this guy. Right? Give him the job again, so that he does not have to sell the rat traps again. You must have patience, my little girl, said the father. As soon as he gets clean and dressed up, you will see something different. Last night he was naturally embarrassed. The tramp manners will fall away from him with the tramp clothes, right? Once he gets cleaned up, that means clean shaving, right? Cutting off hairs, good dressing sense, right? Obviously he is going to be good again. Obviously he is going to be good again. You know, when you have proper beard, when you have proper face cut, when you have clean shave, proper hairs, right, proper dressing sense, you obviously look very good. You will obviously look educated. That is what an educated man does. Wearing good clothes, formal clothes, right, proper matchings, proper communication power, proper hairstyle, right, proper clean shave, all that things is what makes an educated man. So the father says to his daughter, you be patient little bit. On the next morning, when he will have a clean shave, when he will have his hair cut, when he is going to wear good clothes, he is obviously going to get the confidence again. He is obviously going to get the confidence again. That is what the father is talking to his daughter. Just as he said this, the door had opened and the stranger entered. Yes, now he was truly clean and well dressed. See, now he was clean, that means clean shave, proper hair cutting, and he was well dressed. The valet had bathed him, cut his hair and shaved him. Moreover, he was dressed in a good looking suit of clothes, which belonged to the ironmaster. He was wearing the clothes of the ironmaster. He wore a white shirt and a starch collar and whole shoes. But although his guest was now so well groomed, the ironmaster did not seem pleased. He was well dressed, he was well groomed, but still the ironmaster was not pleased. He looked at him with puckered brow, and it was easy to understand that when he had seen the strange fellow in an uncertain reflection from the furnace, he might have made a mistake. But that's now. When he stood there in the broad daylight, it was impossible to mistake him for an old acquaintance. What happens? Now the ironmaster comes to know that this guy is not Neil Saloff. He comes to know in the morning when he is well dressed, right, when he is clean shaved, when his hair is properly cut in a proper dressing sense, he is wearing good clothes, right? At that point of time in the morning, he comes to know that he was mistaken. He was mistaken by himself, that he considered that guy as Neil Saloff. He is not actually Neil Saloff. Now he understands that this guy is not Neil Saloff. This is someone who is a stranger. Who is a stranger. What does this mean? He thundered. The stranger made no attempt to dissimulate. He saw at once that the splendor had come to an end. Now this stranger also came to know that now this owner had knew that I am not Neil Seloff. I am not Neil Seloff. And he stood very quietly at his place and he did not say a single word. He did not say a single word. Right now both knew. The peddler knew that the ironmaster has now known that I am not Neil Seloff. And the ironmaster also came to know in the early morning when he was wearing good clothes, when he was having clean shave, that this guy is not Neil Seloff. He is a stranger. He is a stranger. Moving towards the last 2-3 paragraphs for today, right? That is at the end of the page. It is not my fault, sir, he said. I never pretended to be anything but to a poor trader, and I pleaded and begged be allowed to stay in the forge. Now see, he opens. Who opens? The rat trapper. He says that this is not my fault. I never forced to come into this house. I never said that I want to come with you. I just wanted to stay in that iron mill. But you and your daughter planned, and you forced me, you stretched me to come to your house. It is not my fault. It is not my fault. But no harm had been done. At worst I can put on my rags again and go away. But still there was no harm being done to that peddler. He said that I'll remove your clothes, I'll wear my old clothes again, and I'll go back from this place safely. I don't want any kind of harm. Right? I have previously said I am not Neil Seloff, but you were not ready to hear me. Now I am clean shaved, now I am well dressed, now you come to know that I am not Neil Seloff. Right? And this is what I was saying yesterday night. And still if you say I'll remove your clothes, I'll wear my own clothes again, and I'll go back safely from this place. That is what the peddler says. Well said, ironmaster, hesitating a little. It was not quite honest. Either you must admit that, and I should not be surprised if the sheriff would like to have something to say in that matter. The tramp took a step forward and struck the table with his fist. Now I am going to tell you, Mr. Ironmaster, how things are. He said, the whole world is nothing but a big rat trap. All good things that are offered to you are nothing but cheese rings and bits of pork set out to drag a poor fellow into trouble. And into sheriff comes now and locks me up for this. Then you, Mr. Ironmaster, must remember that a day may come when you yourself may want to get off a big piece of pork, and then you will get caught in the rat trap. Now he says very frankly, very broadly to the ironmaster, why you allowed me to come into this house? Because it was your selfishness. It was your selfishness. You wanted me to come to that iron mill and work again. You wanted more business. You wanted more profit. That is why you allowed me to enter into your house. That is why you offered me good clothes. That is why you offered me good food. And now you suddenly comes to know that I am not the particular Neil Seloff who is working in that iron mill. Now you are throwing me out of the house. Remember one thing, ironmaster, that the whole world is a rat trap. Everyone wants to, have that big piece of that cheese. And once you get into that piece of cheese, you are going to fall into a rat trap. Mark my words. This is what the peddler is talking to the ironmaster. That the whole world is a rat trap. Why you allowed me to enter into your house? Because it was your selfish motive. You wanted me to work back again into that iron mill, as you were not having the quality iron, as you were not generating business. And that is why you allowed me to come, have food and wear good clothes. That is a rat trap. That is a rat trap. Remember my words. This is what he openly talked to the ironmaster, and says that the whole world is a rat trap. The whole world is a rat trap. He talks very freely to the ironmaster. The daughter is listening very clearly. The daughter is listening very clearly. Last few paragraphs. The ironmaster begins to laugh. That was not so badly said, Mr. Good, my good fellow. Perhaps we should let the sheriff alone on the Christmas Eve. But now get out of here as fast as you can. Right, this is what the last words were of the Iron Master. Get out of this place as fast as you can. You said it very good. It was a good speech. Get out of this house. Get out of this house as fast as you can. I hope this story is clear till here. What happens when he goes out of the house? How his life changes? That is all what we are going to discuss in part 3 of this video. Right? I hope this story is clear and interesting till now. Again, I repeat, those students who have not watched part 1, please watch the part 1 of this video. Right? This is the part 2. Right? He is been sent off from his house by the Iron Master. What happens next? We'll look into part number 3. But before that, you can write it down. All this summary again, those who have not written it. Thank you.